This week, we are talking with Matteo Rossi, writer director of Chase, which we covered last week. As in last week's intro, it was noted, I going into this solo. Danny's still dealing with pneumonia, so unfortunately, she did not get to participate in this. But it was a really good talk. Michael is a great great person just overall, and this was a really good conversation. Some really good lessons on just being motivated, staying positive, doing what you love. And I think I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time here. We're going to just jump into this. So kick back, take a listen, and enjoy this wonderful talk with this great filmmaker and creative. Hey B-Siders, welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim flying solo because Danny's pneumonia has returned, so she won't be joining us for this excellent interview. We talked about his movie last week, Chase, and as you know, it was awesome. So I am on with Matteo Rossi, writer and director of that fantastic film. Hello, Michael.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thank you. This is great.
Thanks for being on.
Absolutely.
We had a discussion about this movie.
I'm happy to hear that. Definitely.
Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to skip to the end part because we had the discussion on how it ended.
Yeah.
Now Danny took it as as the fade out. We got that Chase has bled out and continued his life. I don't know. I kind of felt like maybe when I see endings like that, I feel like someone like you is handing me a little notepad saying, so you can go with what you see, or you can just kind of like, where could it go from here kind of thing. Like maybe he did make it. Maybe there was a moderately happy ending in as happy as you can be, a hitman who's going to be on the run for the rest of his life.
Right. Of course. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I kind of joked that a lot of how the ending, what would happen after the ending would be contingent on whether we had a sequel of it or not. Obviously, if we had a sequel, he would survive. If not, but spoiler alert, of course, for those who don't see. We see earlier in the film, he has trouble sleeping. He actually has trouble sleeping throughout the whole film. And then it's the whole thing where Blair's telling him, it's kind of therapeutic way, all right, imagine that you're with Micah and you're holding him and you're counting just the steps, just kind of equivalent to the counting sheep type thing. And he says earlier that it hasn't worked. And the very last line in the film is something to the effect of, I think I can sleep now. And we see what he's thinking of, and it's basically it's Micah, it's him kind of doing all of that. I apologize for the phone. I don't know if you can hear that.
It's no problem.
But anyways, where I think that if you were to really pull my arm and say it, he probably did succumb to his injuries, because he kind of found peace. He found peace, and it's one of those things where he can sleep now. We're talking about the deep sleep.
Right.
However, is there a chance that he could have been driven to the hospital and kind of worked on and all that? Yes, there is a chance for that too. I did purposely make it very open-ended. We don't literally see him taking his last breath, so to speak.
Right.
So I think it could be both, and it's one of those things where he's playing through everything, his relationship with Miles, his friendship, his everything. He's playing, but he's in a better place, so to speak. I mean, even though he's really messed up, jacked up physically, he's kind of I don't know, he's at peace, I would say.
Right. Yeah. And I get that, because we did get the bit, he's folded those cards in the order that he's been trying to fold them through the whole
Yes.
thing. What side of the
Yes.
fence am I on? Is what's more important to me, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We really dug the themes in this movie.
Thank,
Now,
thank you.
for me,
Yeah.
well, we saw two different genres here. Now, his
Yeah.
story, I attributed it to a very old west tale.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reluctant gunfighter, or
Yeah.
bad guy, or whatever. Because I grew up watching westerns. My grandfather, that's all he wanted.
I love
So,
it. I
you
love it.
know,
All everything from the classic John Ford films to Wild Bunch
yes,
to spaghetti westerns. I'm all about that too.
absolutely. And it did kind of remind me of Clint Eastwood's The Man with No Name.
Hmm.
He's not a good guy,
No, no,
and but he's interesting. And that's something I want to talk about when we get to it, is making
yeah,
characters interesting. Um,
right.
so it's like you're rooting for the bad guy because he's just the most interesting, likable, out of the group.
He's Yeah. I mean, he's clearly a flawed character. He's clearly, I mean, even the beginning part where you see him with that actor Richard Reel, who's amazing to work with, by the way, character actor. You
Yes.
probably recognized him,
Oh,
very familiar
absolutely.
voice too. Awesome guy to work with, really professional. But you see right away he's a complete dick to him. Like he's an unnecessary dick to him. He's almost getting off scaring this poor old man that obviously is you know paying him to put a hit, so he's not the best either. So you have this situation where technically it's kind of Tarantino-ish in terms of there's not that many quote pure likable good guys or characters. Everybody has
Right.
flaws, but you still want to follow his story. And I've actually um had some people who watched it that kind of felt a little sympathy for even the Miles character. Where yeah, I mean he's crazy. He's there.
Yeah.
He does a great job. Aries does an amazing job performance wise, but you feel bad a little bit for him too. You kind of feel bad all around. So there's that level of sympathy for characters that on paper are not good people.
Right. And you do. And that's one thing we talked about was, you know, uh, Miles was, you have these two guys. So first of all, we talked about the relationship, right? So you got two
Yeah,
guise, they're starting out streetwise and,
right.
doing the hood thing.
Doing
And,
it, yeah,
and as always happens in that dynamic, one of them eventually comes out to be the leader, and the other
yeah,
one is like, I'm the loyal, go-to guy.
exactly.
So in this case, it was Miles. And we liked how his I mean, you peeled him very slowly, very small slivers of that banana coming down, just little moments and comments like,
Right,
um no, don't touch Chase. That whole thing, like, oh, we'll kill them all, don't either of
right.
you touch him. I want
Yeah.
to I want to see how this plays out. And Chase is the same way. I want to see how this plays out. We're going to see.
They're both doing simultaneous litmus tests, so to speak, where at the end of the day, they don't want to hurt each other, but they're testing the waters. Miles is testing Chase's kind of loyalty and faith and how, what he can do. And Chase kind of gets thrown into this too, where he's like, he obviously cares about Blair, he cares about Micah, but he does care about, he just, he knows he's in a profession that is not meant. You can't be a family man in the profession that he's
Yeah,
in.
we
It's
talked
one
about
of those.
that.
You can't try to raise a kid and have a partner that and do what he's doing. There's just no way. It gets messy.
Yes, it reminded me of the movie Heat,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
and I talked about that, where Robert De Niro is trying to tell everybody this very simple line, and this line has, in one form or another, been spoken in a lot of these criminal-based movies.
Sure.
But for
Sure.
me, Heat was just like, there's no bullshit to this. He's being very straight. Even
Very.
any of his
Very.
crew could figure this out. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. No, you're right.
Never
You're right.
allow anything into your life that you can't walk out on in 30 seconds flat. Boom.
Amazing, and
Yeah.
that's one of the best scenes in cinema, and just two legends talking. But it's so true, having that baggage, and even in the beginning when Chase is doing the voiceover, he says, they're my only liability. Well, it's a huge liability, and
Yes.
it's a liability that Miles can easily exploit.
Yes,
and he does
he
clearly.
does.
Um, so that's a huge thing. He can't walk away from
No,
that. So,
Miles's exploitation is what revealed to us the last major peel of that, exposing that bear banana.
yeah,
His interaction with Micah
yeah,
was, it wasn't like out of left field, but it
right.
was it was like a punch in the chest, like an affirmation punch. Boom. He isn't a total turd, you know, telling this kid,
You
do not be like me,
don't
do
be
not be
like
like,
us.
yeah,
Mhm.
you're better than this. And I was just like, wow, man, now we got the tragedy of the story. They
You feel bad. Miles has some degree of self awareness. He's not a complete sociopath. He's aware that he can't do. No, I mean,
That's
he's
exactly
aware
what
that
I said.
no, it's true. I mean, he's aware of what he does. He's aware that at at the point in his life now, there's no way that he can turn around from it. And what I wanted to kind of clear up and saying, I don't know if you got it or some people have got it. Um, Micah is kind of in his own little world. I don't want to label whatever kind of mental deficiency he had, but the fact is, and you can call this maybe a little artistic avant-garde, I wanted it to be like he is in his own world. When he's coloring, when he's doing this, he is oblivious to the world around him, kind of naively oblivious. I mean,
Right.
even in the scene where Miles calls Chase and he says he feels like a fucking son to me. Mike is not even really reacting to that. He's in his own world now. With whatever kind of mental hold back you want to call it, that's how he is. That's how Mike is, and I wanted to do that in theme of like he's that pure innocence, and can he be corrupted? Can he be? He is in the middle of all of this, and he just doesn't even realize the insanity that's going on.
Right. And yeah, we picked
If
up
that
on that.
makes sense.
Yeah,
If
it
that
does.
makes sense.
It does
So,
because
no.
it wasn't laid out, and I like that.
Right.
It was just okay. So here's the character, and again, I got my notepad now, and so the director
Yeah.
wants me to think: is he on like a shallow end of the spectrum, or
Right.
is it
Right.
PTSD because you
Yeah.
know,
Of course, what happened? Right.
yeah,
Where Chase kills his both of his real parents, and
yeah,
maybe at that point it just muted him and put him on a blank slate where it's like, okay, this guy's taking, maybe this is my new father, this is my new role model, what have you. So it's a very interesting dynamic. It's a tragic dynamic, and that's just how it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I like the tragedy of these two characters. I like stories like this. I call them Irish fairy tales. I'm Irish
Yeah.
and grew up with,
Yeah.
they never have a happy ending. Um,
Right.
but they're rife with people who are brothers, fathers, sons, or, lifelong friends who enter into either a profession or they end up in a situation where they're in it deep. They've created this world for themselves. And the only way out is to stand against each other, and one has to go. That's
Absolutely.
just it. And I love that heart wrenching because I can get into both
Yeah.
sides of those characters. Like, I love this man, but
I
it's got to go. It's got to go down.
We all have our influences, and as cliche as it may sound, Shakespeare, of course, is one of the influences that's influenced so many filmmakers. And I would say, in terms of works, you can't go past, Macbeth and Hamlet for me. Those two, when we talk about the dynamics, we talk about the family dynamics, the betrayal, the manipulation.
Yeah.
You see that in a lot of work,
Mhm.
and literary work and film work. But that has always interested me so much, that Chase and Miles are like brothers, but then they're getting pulled apart, and who's manipulating, who's the Lady Macbeth, who's the whatever it is. I just find those themes very fascinating.
Well, and that's one thing we tell people in this, because the whole, basis of this is we watch movies, and
Yeah.
even the guy with the camcorder who did 45 minutes with barely any sound and just kind
Right.
of improvised.
Right.
It's somebody who created something, and there's always
Yes.
something to learn from it. And one thing we point out to folks is
Right.
because I mean, we're not, quote, successful. We're still trying to sell stuff. We've been like invited to the living room, but we've never gotten to the
Right.
back office.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
and so, but what we tell folks is, don't fret over the originality of your story. There's only like 7 stories that have
Yeah.
ever been told through all the time. And
So true.
your job as a writer is to take what, okay, so, like the Macbeth, all right, everyone knows it, but it's your job to take it and put it into a different face and do it a different way, not verbatim,
Absolutely.
you know. And and it's funny because when I first read Macbeth, because I grew up on westerns from like 5 years old, you know,
Yeah.
the first film my grandfather took me to see in an old theater in Illinois was A Few Dollars More.
Oh, nice. Of
And
course.
yeah, of course.
Classic.
uh, but
Classic.
every time I see these things, when I was reading Macbeth for middle school, I, I immediately thought, who this reminds me of Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach, because those two
Mhm.
guys, every time they're in a movie, man, I'm like, can't you guys just make up? I mean, does
But right,
do you always have
right.
to part ways? Does it always have to be this
You
stuff?
always there's always this dynamic, and no, and you see that all the way through, and you're right. I mean, look, every story's been told. It's just your spin on it. And I think me as an independent filmmaker, like for example, I don't know if I told you this, we shot the whole film, all of Chase, in 18 days.
Yes.
18 days,
Yep.
which is pretty quick for feature film. And obviously, you saw we had multiple locations, we had some set pieces, extras, the whole bit. It was not easy to do, and you have to be creative. And with each film that I do, there are, of course, there are things that I would change or I would tweak or anything like that. But that's that's what being an artist is about. You look at it, you say, okay, I could have done this better, this different, next one. Like again, when my film Shadows gets released later in the year, by all means see it. Shadows to me, and I love Chase. Chase to me is my best current released film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think overall, being honest, I think Shadows is a better film. I think that when you see Shadows, again, not biasing you, those are my two
Oh,
best films, but I think Shadows is better. I think just in terms of story scope, how it shot the whole bit. So you try to keep elevating up. You know.
oh, absolutely. You know,
All
we
right.
we long God, well, I say a long time ago. It's been like seven
Yeah.
years. We got together with some folks and tried to start a film group, and
Mhm.
and we shot a short film, and that
Nice.
it rapidly degenerated, and that short film's sitting on my hard drive completely unfinished because I'm not a filmmaker, and I got roped into like doing the VFX, and listeners know the nightmare of this, and the director went like way off tangent and gave us like a rough cut, and it's like, what is this? And
It's so difficult. I mean, look, it's cliche as it sounds, making any film's a miracle. It
yeah,
really is. There are a million ways that it can go wrong and
oh,
not be fit
absolutely.
and all of that. So it's difficult. It's about prep. It's about following through. But believe me, I've had my Apocalypse Now sets, unfortunately, one or two that were a nightmare where I dreaded going on set. And thankfully, the last, 4 or 5 films that I've done have been overall very good. But I had to learn the hard way a little bit, unfortunately. And it's a pain in the ass. It makes you literally want to pull your damn hair out.
It does. We just want to be writers. We just want
Yeah.
to hand someone like you, here you go, and then watch what you do with it. Well, I have some input because we learned that lesson. Always have input.
Right.
We no
Yeah.
longer believe everybody else knows better than we do because it started out because we were talking about elevation of projects.
Yeah.
All this
Yeah.
was supposed to be was like a 10-minute short to show that, hey, we're serious about making stuff.
Right.
But that script rapidly developed into 32 pages.
Yeah.
And we're like, why? Well, because we need to have their inspiration and their motivation. I'm like, no, 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 no. We have 2 people. One accidentally took acid. It's a little trippy thing. And we threw in a touch of Roxanne, Cyrano de Bergerac,
Yep.
where
Yep.
the woman has her Bluetooth in and her friend is guiding her through her trip so she doesn't ruin this
Mhm.
date she's been waiting for. All
Yep.
it was. But we learned from that in creating another short that we one day want to do. Um,
Yeah.
it's adaptation. We took a James Franco
Mhm.
adaptation class. So
Mm-hmm.
we adapted a
Nice.
period piece. A lot of people enjoy, reading it. So we want to like
Of
put
course.
people together and do it. And I did all kinds of research because it involves a stonemason. So I'm like, where are the stonemasons in town? Spent a day with this guy,
Right.
and he was just showing me every little thing that they do, so we can,
Yeah.
make it look a little authentic. But that was something that we learned. So let's pour more
Mhm.
into this so that we have more to stand on and say, hey, I get where you're coming from, but understand, I spent 11 hours with this guy. I spent 3 weeks researching this, right? We retooled the script to make,
Yeah.
take care of boo-boos and stuff. And, that's in all of our writing. It's like any draft. You look at it and you're like, I love this. But if I had to kill something, if I had to, if I had $1 million contract on the line,
You have to
what
know
would it
what
be?
to cut, what to tighten up. I mean, scripts and stories are living, breathing entities. They're never fully finished. There were Aries loved to do improv, and I was okay with that. Aries definitely did. Like for example, when in the beginning scene where they're kind of just shooting the shit, having the cigars, all that.
Yeah.
I let it fly. He basically, I'm like, dude, just act like you're kind of you're tipsy, just shooting the shit. Couple guys at a bar being douchebags, and he let stuff fly. I kept what I thought was tolerable in there, but I mean that's one of those things, and I didn't have that written. I didn't write that. It was just I made the choice of what to keep, but that's where it's like stories. You're filming and something could change. It's not set
Right.
in stone.
Yeah, we've talked
No.
to some folks, and just we just know the history of Hollywood. Some of the greatest moments in Hollywood have come from adversity. Uh,
Yeah,
we talk about the classic, Birdman of Alcatraz. His
yeah,
his monologue out of focus because the camera guy screwed
yeah,
up, and he's like, "Oh,
yep,
let's do it again." Turns to the director and says, "Okay, but you're not going to get what we just got," and they didn't.
yeah.
So you have to go with
And then
it.
even what was it? Have you seen Harold and Maude?
Yes,
Harold and Maude.
yes,
Didn't the camera stop working right when the car was falling off the cliff towards the end? So it was this freeze frame or whatever. I don't
yeah,
know. You should look. It's pretty interesting. That's just like all the cameras froze or some crazy thing like
yeah.
that. So it's like these things happen, and sometimes it works, or artistically it works. So you're right. You got to be ready for it.
And I like that you said it's a living thing because that's what we also try to tell
Yeah,
people is you have your finished product, you got it printed on paper, you got it locked away in a PDF, you email it, package it,
yeah,
whatever.
right.
But one of the beauties of this part of art, this being a creative in this realm, is watching the constant evolution, even on film, because
Yes,
you can sit through the table read, you can watch the rehearsal, and bam, one of the actors is going to get a thought and they're going to run with it.
absolutely.
And, not having, been on a
That's what
set
happened
like that.
on my last film too. That's what
Really?
happened on Shadows at table read. One of my actors pulled me to the side and we kind of tweaked one thing. Of course, he asked, and he said, "You know what? That actually does work. That does." So you're absolutely right.
It,
Yeah,
I just, to be able to witness something like that, I can only imagine is like, this is the purest, even if it's just 3 seconds, it's a certain look or an
it's
action
beautiful.
that they do. Um, as a director, I'm sure you think, oh, he stepped off his mark. God, you know, but that immediately would go away when something, beautiful shows up. Like, whoa, okay,
What's
this was a
that other
moment.
example? What is it on the waterfront with the glove or something? She dropped the glove, and
Oh,
Marlon
yeah,
Brando was just playing. He just went for it. That's when you know. And I love working with actors like that. They kind of just they don't break stride. If one little thing happens, let it go. Let it go. Wait until I say cut. Let it ride. If I'm
yes,
not saying cut, you're doing something right, or I'm seeing how it plays out, and then who knows, it might actually show up. So absolutely, there's something really organic about that, and sometimes it makes for the best kind of naturalistic acting you'll find too.
yeah. Well, and that's something that we kind of got, we schooled ourselves on because we've had a lot of people ask, so who do you envision as like the five top characters? And I hate that question. I know why they're asking it, right? I know they're
Right,
they're
right.
looking for like a tone or stuff. Like we have a sci-fi series, the main character, we know it's a male, okay, but
Yeah,
we don't know, and mid 30s. That's important for the story. But it's
sure.
like, I don't have a type. I don't have a type. We don't have an ethnicity. We don't. For
Yeah,
us, it's one of those moments. This character, who's right for it, you'll know the second they walk in the room.
Absolutely.
You'll just know it. And they'd be like,
Absolutely.
well,
And that
just, read the lines because, you got to
in
make it look official, but you just know that. And then you roll from there.
you know, like that's why good acting is good acting. Like if somebody's right for the role, that's just I see it and I know it. So I agree with you. Instead of, I mean, you see, nowadays everybody's trying to score political points and check a bunch of boxes, but sometimes it feels almost forced or too on the nose. It's like let's get the best acting, let's get the best actors for the role, and you'll know it.
Yeah.
You know, don't
Yeah.
just check boxes to check boxes, because that's pandering, and it insults people's intelligence, because people aren't that dumb. They can see right through that, in my
Right.
opinion. That's my man. But I see it.
I, and I think Danny would agree too. We both see that. And then,
You
having,
can tell when they're pandering. You can really tell.
yeah.
People aren't stupid. You can tell.
And we do have our spreadsheet though with pictures because, that's
Right.
that you've got to give that answer. That's what we tell
Sure.
folks. You can rail against the Hollywood machine, man, but if a producer asks you, so what were you envisioning? You better have an answer, even if you're
Yeah,
like
of course. Of
going to go home
course.
and
You got
chew your tongue
there.
off. Um,
Right.
and
Right.
unfortunately, some of our prize candidates are about 10 to 15 years too old.
Got it. Got
you know,
it.
it's,
Always sucks about
I,
that timing. Timing's everything.
I know we don't have a script where Idris Elba would suitably fit, but
Right.
we would love to try to cram him in, like in that
Oh, sure.
sci-fi script. We've got a character who's a
He's
jolly
fantastic.
jolly fat pirate who nobody knows really how old he is.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, if Idris would wear a fat suit, he'd have a part in this show if
Oh,
we
he'd
get it going.
crush it. He'd kill it. He'd kill it. No, he's amazing. He can do anything. He was even in
Uh,
the office.
well, and
So
speaking of
yeah.
those people, so let's talk Damien Puckler for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we spent about 5 minutes in the episode talking about Damien, because we got to speak to him briefly because of his attachment to Redwood Massacre Annihilation.
That's right.
Because we've become pretty close with David Ryan Keith and Lee
Mm-hmm.
Matheson. We
Mm-hmm.
Liam is famous for giving us 3-hour interviews, and then
Yeah, yeah.
another
Oh,
hour
really cool.
unrecorded. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but when we saw Redwood Massacre Annihilation and we saw Damien, his character Max in there, we were just like, God damn, this David wrote the creepiest character, and Damien just brought something extra to it. And
Nice.
there was just a scene in there where Damien takes off his shirt, and we're like,
Yeah.
man, Damien's fit. And then we're watching Chase, right? They cut to the
Oh,
basement scene, and we paused it. We both looked at each other. Damn.
yeah. He worked out like a madman for that. I mean, he knew that he'd be shirtless for it. So even between takes, he had all of this equipment. He was using that. I mean, he was really using that. But he was putting everybody else to shame. But that's Damien for you. He's the nicest guy in the world, though. Honestly, like
Oh,
such a pleasure to work with.
yeah, we got to share some time with him when they did a live show on Facebook.
Yeah,
So we got to chat with them a bit.
yeah.
And that was really our question was, did Damien do this for the part? Or because I think it's a couple years between when he shot Redwood Massacre Annihilation and
Yeah.
then Chase. And we thought, well, is Damien just like a fitness freak? Is this what he does?
I mean, he definitely like. I think he grew up doing like Muay Thai or kickboxing or something like that, all internationally. Like, actually, a lot of those tattoos that he had were actually tattoos that he got after he won fights, like
Okay,
in
yeah,
Thailand or something back in the 80s and 90s. And so no, I mean, he definitely like he stays fit, everything. But I had done a short film, and you can check it out. It's on YouTube for free. It's called Still.
okay,
I can send you the link. Still. And it's a kind of creepy psychological horror, like 8-minute short. But I worked with him on that about 8 months before we shot Chase, and he was awesome to work with on that. And then I thought, I'm like, you know what? He fits the great image. He's a good actor. I think he could do something like play this hitman, play Chase. And again, just awesome to work with. Like, really, I mean, I can't say enough good stuff. He's a funny guy. He'll rib you sometimes. He'll joke around with you, definitely. But he's a good dude. He's a really good dude. And we've obviously kept in touch and everything. It's crazy to think, yeah, we shot Chase in August of 18. It got released in May of 19. So yeah, a few years ago now. But yeah, just awesome guy. You know,
We um his acting, he has something, he does the micro expressions that
yeah,
very few people can actually do.
yeah,
Um because there's a couple scenes in Redwood Massacre Annihilation where we know who he is. There's no like secret reveal of how messed
right,
up his character is.
yeah,
But he gives a look, and then you can just see like 7 or 8 tiny muscles
yeah.
working that just makes you the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Like, wow. And
He's
we
very.
saw that in Chase. A lot of like close-ups that you have of him, he can just move
You
these
see that.
little
You
things,
see that.
and we're like, man, that's focus, that's drive. We can
He
see
he brings
emotion.
the toughest couple days to film were in the mansion scene, the mansion climax. You know, the kind of showdown there. And I mean, he was listening to stuff. He was just zoning out. He had to get in that mode,
Mhm.
and that was kind of his method of going. And I let him ride with it. I let him ride with it. And he did a great job. Again, I love the dynamic between Miles and Chase and Blair, Jessica Morris, who's awesome, totally like sweet person, very cool. She was great too, and it was one of those things where when Jessica, who plays Blair, and Damien met, they just got along, they just hit it off, they really got along, and it was just great chemistry. And again, we had me and Aries, who plays Miles, and Damien, we would grab coffee, we'd grab lunch leading up to it, the whole bit. We would just talk, and it was just great seeing them build rapport. It was
Right.
really great seeing that, and that's what helps. That's what helps.
Oh
Get
yeah.
those. You know,
We've heard actors, especially the very old guard, the De
yeah,
Niro level
yeah,
folks, right? You
yeah,
know, it, you can hate the hell out of somebody and then have the most, mushy cushy scene, whatever, because that's an act, that's
right,
your job.
right.
And I get that, but there's a small level of uh just genuine, I don't know, the genuine base.
You want the camaraderie. You still at the end of the day, yeah. The
Yeah,
master acting can turn it on. The Gary Oldmans, the all of that. They can hate somebody and then they can just, but I always like if people are going to get along with each other and have some rapport, it makes it better. You can see them more comfortable in their own skin with the actors instead of it being awkward and strained. So
right.
that's why I like meeting up with them. I'm an actor's director. I've said that before, and I love working with them. And yeah, I mean, Damien's awesome, like very very cool dude.
Well, and we could see that there was something because the in the basement scene when Blair comes down, and then
Yeah,
they start wrestling around and
right,
everything. I mean,
right,
it, we've seen hundreds of movies where they have that kind of scene, and
yes,
most of them you feel kind of uncomfortable because it's like
yeah.
this isn't,
It does feel
it's not
right.
doing it. But that's
Yeah,
one of the things that we both ended up putting in our notes was you can see they have their relationship, the characters is real. It's solid. And I don't think having that comfortable, natural, feel as if they didn't have, some sort of
if they
camaraderie
didn't, they
off
talked,
camera.
they met the whole bit. There was definitely some chemistry between them, and kind of joked. I don't know, like I thought that they might have had crushes on each other. Well, like in real life, they might have really liked each other. I mean, I think that there was definitely a sense of attraction, but like I said, I'm not going to speak for them. But no, they're wonderful people, and Chase was actually one of the best on-set experiences that I've had. It flowed really well. There was no real drama or anything like that. The overall just kind of feel the aura there.
Mhm.
Everybody really got along. I had a great time shooting it. I really did.
Let's talk about shooting it. So,
Yeah.
because indie film, uh, we've grouped B movies and indie film together because
Yes.
a B movie
Of course.
is, we call it the 80% indie. It's you have a
Mhm.
studio that has the checkbook, but they're basically like, here, go make something
Right.
because we got to throw something in a
Right.
theater. because our
Correct.
$300 million film isn't going to be due for 6 months, so we got to keep
Yep.
people
They
coming.
need something.
You know,
Yep.
and we always use like Bubba Hotep as the example. We love that's like
Yeah. That horror film. Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Totally.
it's
Yeah. That.
ridiculous, and they gave him a
Oh, it's been a
ridiculously
while
high
since I've
budget.
seen that film. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta love them. But yeah,
So
no, definitely. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was just say, do as detailed or general as you want, like a step. So you had this idea, and from there, what was the
I had
path?
this idea. I wrote the script. I felt really good about it. I knew that I wanted to tell a story about a hitman. It's always been fascinating for me. And I basically was able to kind of network and kind of collaborate, get a few kind of investors involved, including myself. And we were in pre-production for about 4 months. 4 months of pre-production.
Okay.
I did the casting of it. I basically had the creative freedom, which was fantastic. And we knew that it was going to be we had to shoot a lot of stuff, and we were worried about a few of the action set pieces, like obviously the final one, but also even the
Oh
poker
yeah.
scene with the interesting lighting and all of that. We shot that scene over 2 days, and we had to have the little choreography down. We had to have all of that stuff down. So no, I mean it was. We mostly shot on just one camera. There were a couple days where I think we had two cameras, but mostly one camera shoot. I
Okay.
believe we shot on the red, on Chase, I believe. So
Okay.
don't quote. It was either the red or the Alexa. But actually, no. You know what? No. It was the Alexa. We shot on the Alexa there, the Ari Alexa,
Okay.
on that. And my cinematographer Jason Weary is somebody who also shot Shadows, and he had shot a couple other of my films. So we had a good kind of bond.
Oh,
And
excellent.
yeah, it wasn't the biggest crew. I think at a given time there were no more, in terms of just crew members, no more than 12 or 13 crew members at a time on set. I
Nice.
think the most crew members we had were probably the final mansion scene. We did have a drone that day, where you saw with the car, we had a drone for a
Yeah.
few of those days, which was great. Um, yeah, I mean, it was all shot in the LA area. The mansion was out in Covina, which I don't know if you're familiar with. Are you? I don't know where you're based around, or
Madison,
Illinois.
Wisconsin. So yeah, the
Oh,
the
Wisconsin,
belly button
nice.
of nowhere.
No, you know what? Chris Farley's from Madison, isn't he? Chris Farley? No, or Chicago.
No, Madison. Yeah, he went to West High School.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, Covina is about 40 minutes east of Los Angeles. So, but we were all within that radius, all shooting
Okay.
in Los Angeles. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. It was just, there were some long days, but we loved it.
Well, it has to be long days. I mean,
It has to be.
if,
We had to
if
get it done.
if it was 3 or 4 hours a day, what would this business be?
Exactly. No way. I don't even know what a 3 or 4 hour set shoot is. That's for damn sure. That's an anomaly. But no, it was a great experience. I worked with some of the actors again on films and the whole bit. Everybody was pretty cool to work with. I'll say something. It's kind of weird because it was only a couple of years ago. Two of our actors from Chase actually passed away.
No.
Uh, yeah, no, seriously. Um, the guy who plays Burke, the guy that gets the hand
Oh
stab,
my God. Yeah.
he passed away. He passed away last year, early last year.
Oh God. I
Uh,
feel terrible because we ripped Burke apart as
I I
his
I hate
character,
God.
as
I don't want to burn any bridges.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I'm not an idiot. Like, between us, and I don't really. He was the weakest acting performance on that, and I know that, and I know I'm not, like, it was one of those situations where when he gets his hand stabbed, I was trying to say, dude, you got your hand stabbed. like you're writhing in pain, you're doing all of that, like give me something. And it was tougher for him. I think that he had some moments, but if I'm being harsh on myself, and no disrespect to anybody, because he's linked to some people that I'm very close with,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that he was one of he got outshined a little bit, and I know that. I'm not an idiot.
Well,
I know
honestly,
things, and I know my bad things with that. I personally think that Ares did the best job in the film. If I had to pick one person, I think that Ares was strongest. But with all my films, I know the best person and I know the weakest person,
right.
and it's one of those things. But he was. I think the situation was Harry with Harry. He was fighting a lot of demons
Okay.
in his real life. He passed away from drugs,
Mm,
from fentanyl, and the last few times that I saw him, he did not look in good shape.
okay.
He really did, and it was one of those things where, and I'm not. I don't want to disrespect. He's passed. I don't want to, say. I just think he had a lot of demons that he had to deal with,
Right.
and it was one of those things. Talking about Chris Farley and all of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He Chris Farley, it was one of those things. Adam Sandler saying, "Slow down. You're going to kick it. You're going to do."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's tragic, but some of these people, they're just they can't kick it.
Well, there's so
They
many. I
can't.
mean, it goes back like John Belushi,
Yep.
right? But
There's another.
because I was what 7, 8 when Saturday Night Live hit, and I'd stay up late, no one would care. I'm like,
Yep.
who are these gods of comedy, And then to hear the real life stuff. But see, now the thing with that with Burke, we were it as a viewer, I would not
Yeah.
have pegged him as the weakest performance
Yeah.
because everything he did we thought was very in character. We ripped the character apart, like, oh, Burke is one of those
Oh,
wannabe. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It was just the
Yeah.
character. It wasn't the performance. It was, he's just one of those greasy wannabe hitmen. He's not ever going to be as
He's a
good.
greasy wanted person
You
that
know,
feels secure because Lola, his girlfriend, is just better and better at what she does and all that. So
yeah,
he has.
that's exactly it.
So no, totally no. And I think that Harry does do a decent job in it. I think that the scene where Chase is kind of torturing him a little bit, I think that he definitely brought some of that stuff out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he when writing him, he was a sleazeball, all that. So yeah, I mean it's really sad that yeah he passed away early last year, and I went to his funeral, and I know his mom and Jane, who's a wonderful person, and it was sad. It was at the Hollywood Forever cemetery.
Okay.
This was actually a couple months before the pandemic hit, so there were about 200 people there, and it got a lot of press. And I my heart goes out to him and his family and everything. And he was always a nice guy to me and everything. And then another person, and this was a super small role. Sorry to make it. Now we're talking about like depressing stuff,
Oh
but
no, this is all what
these are
happens
little
in
anecdotes.
this world.
Totally, and it's a small role. I think just one part when we first see Ares in his mansion, and he's looking in the mirror, and he says to one guy, a black guy with a gun, like, watch yourself, all that. And he's like, "Will do, boss." That guy, he was the brother of my producing partner, Katrina Nelson, who's an awesome person, and he passed away as well. He passed away a
Wow.
few months after. So it's kind of bizarre because again, I mean, the film came out in 2019, and we have two. I watched the film, and two people that I knew have passed away. It's weird. It's not like saying, "Oh yeah, this is a film from 1960." Three
Right.
quarters of dead. Yeah, like this. It's just that's why. Not to get all deep, but that's why as well. Life is short, and that's why I try to make as many films as I can. That's why I try to
Absolutely.
create as much content as I can, because nobody knows when their time is up. Think about that terrible thing that happened in Colorado yesterday.
I
You're
know.
you're you're, you're shopping for groceries, and
It's it.
you're that's it.
Yeah.
So nobody's guaranteed anything.
No.
Any another life, you could be the Mr. Health Superman person, and
Well,
something
and
could
that's
happen. Right.
One thing we push really heavy is, all creatives, that's their dream, right? Is to
Yes.
create. Now, we have
Yes.
elevated dreams where I would like to collect a paycheck and work with a showrunner
Right.
on a series that we created. I would like to sell
Right.
one of our scripts and watch it, end up on film because somebody who knows what they're doing can turn it into something. But
Yes.
we've told people, they're like, isn't it frustrating, being so close so often? And we're like, well, but here's the
Yeah.
thing, we're going to be in our 90s and we're going to have a garage full of fucking scripts. And if we never, ever get signed, if we never, ever do anything other than just write, and it never happens, we're both going to die knowing we died living our dream because our dream is just writing.
Absolutely.
For folks like
Writing,
you,
making
it's
happen.
creating the visual of the work. And that's what we
Yes.
always tell our listeners is please just, even if it's the biggest piece of shit, write it, finish it, polish it, make it a polished piece of shit.
Write, do something, do
Yes.
something. You every day is precious. Again, I think even the podcast that you have, this, it's great, it's creative, it's therapeutic. You're able to engage with fellow artists, creatives. I think that that's awesome. I mean, I don't know if I told you this before. I reached out because I saw your podcast on Twitter. Um, I use Twitter so much, and whatever you want to say, man, people get political. It's a freaking. I'm getting pulled on each side, and I don't get political on there. And I just want to talk about my films and everything, and whatever. But
Right.
it, it's just you got to keep doing stuff. You got to keep hungry and productive somehow. You
Absolutely.
know?
We did this because we wanted to, because we just,
Yes,
we want to talk about movies. Like, well, we can write, but let's talk
absolutely.
about stuff. Honestly, it's been, well, it was a year in October,
Uh huh.
the 1 year. So whatever plus
Yeah.
till now. We never
Oh yeah.
thought even by now we'd be talking to people. And we've had a nice roster of folks
Yeah.
and now you're on it. Um,
Oh, thank
and it's, we don't make any money off this, but we tell folks,
Yet though.
but
Yet.
here's the thing, we don't even care. We
Yeah.
honestly don't care because this is not, I mean, if we did, that would be great, even if we could
Right.
make like $40 a month and pay for the hosting, better. But
But you love doing it
we
though.
love
You
doing it because
love.
it gives us these opportunities that we
Yes.
we don't have. We're not in LA and we don't have connections with people, face to face. We're not going to bump into people at a coffee shop or overhear a conversation or have
Right.
someone, you know, so this works out pretty good. But yeah, everyone has to do whatever they do, whether it's storyboarding, musicians, crew people. I mean, just because you've got your union card,
All of
man,
that.
and there's no work, you know what? You can go on Amazon and for $50 buy all kinds of crap lighting and
Yep.
play with stuff, man. Make a new
Play with
rig.
it. Shoot it on your iPhone. Do
Yeah,
something.
you know.
Um, I'm all about it. And I think that the more you're even doing these podcasts, it's networking. We're building a relationship. We know
Yes.
each other and all of that, and that of course helps. So you can say, "Oh yeah, Mike's new film. I had him for a podcast," and I'm not talking myself up. I don't mean it that way. I'm
Oh,
just
no, no,
saying
no. Yeah.
it. The business gets smaller the more you're like, even with what we said, you knew Damien because you talked about that. Boom, I worked with Damien. It's smaller than you think, and here you are. You're in Wisconsin. I'm in California. We're 2,000 or so miles apart, and we're still doing it, and it's great. I'd love to shoot in the Midwest. I'd love to shoot in Wisconsin or Ohio or something. No, I'm serious. I would. I I've traveled to quite a few states. I have not been to too many places in the Midwest, to be honest with you. I haven't, but that needs to change. That needs to change. I
Well,
should come up.
hey, well, if you do, let us know because we
I appreciate
show
that.
you all
Yeah, yeah.
kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Oh
Um.
no, that would be great. But yeah, no, I think I love doing things like this as well, and just talking about
Oh yeah.
film,
I
all that.
think. I think as tragic as the pandemic has been,
Yeah,
but not just loss of lives, but all the disruption. I think so much good has come of this. I think Hollywood and the movie making industry in general was forced to take a knee.
yeah,
And, we are not high and mighty. We're not in control of anything actually, because all of our
correct.
shit was taken away.
Yep,
And everyone always says, it's got to be face to face. And obviously, we're human beings. We need to,
sure,
interact.
sure.
But the viability of what we're doing right now, I mean, we never assumed of doing Zoom talks with people. I mean, we were trying to find
I
some
know.
local filmmakers to come in and sit with us and,
Right,
you know,
right.
guest
And
kind
it,
of
it
thing.
it made us no, it made us more creative, more ways of interacting. We had to think about outside the box a little bit. And now
Mhm.
this is kind of commonplace. And don't get me wrong, I miss film festivals so much and having my film screened and all of that. And the fact is, we're gonna get back to it.
Yes.
We're back to it. There's not going to be a perpetual kind of this is forever where it's not going to be. It's not going to be. I'm making my next film in October. And I think, to be honest, by then, I understand it might not be completely perfect, but I think it's going to be a hell of a lot better. I
Right.
think that there is going to be a day, maybe even later in this year, where people can go inside and not have to wear any masks or can just chill. Yeah, wouldn't that be heaven? Absolutely would. Because the thing is, it just and I there's nobody in their right mind that I understand that the keeping protected and safe and all that, but there's nobody in their right mind that actually I think enjoys wearing a mask. It's like, oh, this is comfortable. I love this. No,
Right.
no. Let's cut through the bullshit. All right, they're uncomfortable. They're a pain in the ass. All that. I understand it's about protecting and all that, but nobody likes it. So when we get to a point, herd immunity, whatever, eradicated, all that, where people can go out, see people's faces,
Yes.
smiles, all of that, beautiful, and
That's the
and
thing.
all that's the thing. So it's just, I mean, instead of, I understand we have to kick it, we have to be responsible, all that, but it's still depressing thinking like, God, this is the world where it's like, we're faceless beings
Right.
when we go. And people don't talk about the mental aspect of this as much. And again, I know I'm going on a rant and everything. It's just it's
Sorry, we have no structure here.
yeah, it sucks. It sucks, seeing, you're in a playground and you see a 5-year-old wearing a mask, and it's just, I feel bad. I feel
Well,
bad for
it,
all of that.
it has ripple
You
effects, not
know?
just in a mental sense, but it touches things you wouldn't normally think about. So, for example, I was a photographer for many, many years, and
Yeah,
with the improvement of like iPhones and stuff, I got tired of it. But my Aunt Bertha has a camera. Well, then fucking pay your Aunt Bertha to do your wedding. I'm done. I'm done
right, right,
arguing. You know.
yeah,
Um, so but one of the things, like a real photographer, I had the weddings and the commercial shoots and
yeah.
all that stuff to pay the bills. But I was a street person. Street photography was my jam. I would spend from 5 a.m. till 1 a.m. walking one street here in Madison, State Street, up and down, up and down, up and down, to get
Seeing
those
people's
human
faces,
shots.
human.
And
Yeah,
so when our daughter got old enough, we started
yeah,
biking to downtown because the whole experience of State Street was seeing the different faces.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a wonderful melting pot, and there's just so much going on. But you introduce the pandemic and all these masks. I mean, the people are still the same, but you're right. You don't
It's
have
it's
any
muted. It's
face.
muted.
You just have, they look like mannequins.
It's muted. You can't gauge. You can the people argue, oh, you see it in the eyes when they're smiling. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It
And
isn't.
and and I really do feel, clearly we're going to get to a point where anybody who still feels like they want to wear it, fine. But we're going to get to a point where I do feel like the major population are not going to need it. They're not going to be required. All of that again. I mean, look, when I take walks, I'm nowhere near anybody. I can hold it. I don't need to put it on. You're
Right.
you're 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 outside. You're clearly a million, and no one's around. It's the same thing. You go to the beach, and it's just, it's as weird as it is. And maybe this is an unpopular opinion. Actually, I don't think it really is. It's nice seeing smiles and faces and all of that. I mean, you're not getting right next to them, but I go to the beach, or you go there, and it's open. It's all that. People are surfing, people are doing that. You're still spread out because it's the beach, but you see people's faces. You
Yes.
see people's faces. Or even if you go to a restaurant, even if it's spread out, see people's faces. It's like, wow, I love seeing that so much more than someone wearing a mask. And again, I understand the
Right.
need to be safe and all that, but I'm just saying, from a psychological standpoint, seeing somebody's face.
Well, exactly, because I'm an
Yeah,
introvert basically, so that's why street photography was awesome because I didn't
yeah,
interact with anybody. I interacted
yeah,
with the visual that I was seeing, and I felt connected to these people, even though I was 200 feet away with a telelens,
yeah.
zooming in on them because I saw an expression
The
of something.
human thing, right?
You
So
know,
we're gonna get back there.
we'll get
We're gonna
there.
get back there. Just got to be hopeful.
I want to back up to the social media just a little bit.
Yeah,
So, like you said,
yeah,
you used it extensively, and in our exchanges, you had mentioned, about trying to be a force of positivity. Um,
yes,
I myself, what you see on Twitter is basically it. I each night I set the announcements up for the show for the next day,
yep,
and I try not to do much more than that. I do,
yeah,
try to flip through because we have a lot of people following us. I follow them
of
back, and
course,
I want to return, retweets and stuff. I want to be
right,
courteous.
of
Um,
course,
but in its essence, I hate social media for the very reason you
yeah.
were talking about. It is such a conflagration of vitriol that it's like,
So crazy,
you know, tell us
especially on Twitter. Yeah,
your platform. What do you, what is your like purpose, or what do you?
I just want to be, and I've even tweeted this and saying, if you're scrolling through, I hope to be just one tweet that says, I hope you're having a good day. I hope everything's, awesome. And if it's not, I hope it gets better for you. I do not delve in. It's fine. People can talk about whatever they want. I don't get into the politics. I don't get into any of that too much. And I get pulled to the side, by the way. I have people telling me like, Mike, did you see what one of your followers did? But then this follower did this. Why you blah blah blah? And I
Oh
get into that. It's just I usually ignore that, but it's like it's crazy. And I made something where it's like you could say the most clear thing: the sky is blue, water is wet, all that, and somebody will pick a fight with you.
yeah. Yes.
Somebody will pick a fight with you. We are in this vacuum, this echo chamber where it's like if you're on the other side of some sort of beliefs, there's no more common ground. It's just let me stick to this. F you, this, that. You
Mm-hmm.
can't talk because you're this, and then you can't talk because you're that. And how do you know what I'm going through? But then I don't know what you're going through. That type of shit drives me nuts.
It,
But I try to just ignore it. I just try to talk about my films. The fact is, I have people left, right, center, whoever following me. And if you are a good person with some moral compass, and I don't really get into it, I'm fine.
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some films. Let's talk about whatever. I am not going to engage in this dramatic bullshit. I just am not. I don't have the energy. I can't
Right.
exhaust myself that way. I understand that there are issues going on in the world and some really messed up ones. I am just not trying to dwell on that stuff right now because I'm going to dig myself an early grave thinking
Right.
about that.
Well, and it's funny because I came across something today on Twitter. A guy
Gross.
just made a comment about how he hates horror fans, and because they're just blah 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 blah, and they're like, "Have you seen
Yeah.
this?" and do that, and I'm like, okay. Normally I would skip past this, but there's so
Right.
much going on. It has a show this thread. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh shit.
And it's
Yeah.
just people. And I stopped, but I'm not gonna lie. Every time I see something like that, the urge to, I want to just try and fix
I
this, not
hold my
insult him,
tongue.
but yeah, I cut it back because I'm like, dude, your view is so myopic and misguided and short-sighted.
Like
You
you want
know,
to torch the person that way, and or not torch, but just say. And there's so many times with me as well, and that's I think what also comes with having some sort of platform. I understand that I'm just an indie filmmaker, but at the same time, I don't mean this in a cocky way. I have almost 50,000 followers, so I have a certain role to play. I feel where
hmm
I am myself. Everything that I post is myself, but I don't need to get pulled into the schoolyard bullshit
right.
because it's just going to end badly for me as well. So I have to hold my tongue.
A long time ago, and this is what kind of set the pace for me. A long time ago,
Yeah,
I tried just, like if we were sitting, over coffee and something came up, we disagreed on it passionately, we would have a conversation because we're, level-headed, intelligent, educated individuals.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't take that approach. I tried that a couple times and I'm like, there's just no talking to these people. You might as well be talking
There's
to a
no
shoe,
reason.
you
There's
know.
no reason with some of these people, and it's tough. But like I said, I try to stay positive. I try to stay motivated and all that. But no, I mean you get it. And that's why I've liked this a lot. I've liked even doing this and engaging and talking about it because we kind of
Likewise,
see
thank you.
eye with those things, you know.
There's
Yeah.
someone we had interviewed, Eric Schumacher. Um,
Uh,
he was in Tombstone Rashomon. If you haven't seen it, I highly
okay.
recommend it. Alex
Yeah.
Cox wrote and directed it.
Okay.
Uh,
Nice.
we did an episode on it. We interviewed Alex, and then we interviewed Eric, and we're going to be
Yeah.
watching another of his recent productions,
Yeah.
micro budget productions, and then we're going to talk to him
Nice.
later in April because we do this like 2 weeks out just in case
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
break a leg
Yeah.
or something. Um,
Yeah.
but he
But
he actually tried started. I think he's still trying to push it. Like I can't remember what it was, but it was just like today's like Marvelous Monday. Only no negative tweets, no all this. All my followers, please just put something out positive. Don't engage negatively with it. But let's have one day to do this.
one day to do it, one
And it
hour to do it.
yeah, it looked like it was catching on, and then all of a sudden it went bad. The threads just
Ah,
started like, "Don't tell me
one,
I can't do that." Oh, geez, that's not what he's saying, man. You know.
it, it's such. So I try to avoid that nonsense and just try to surround myself with good, positive, like-minded people. And so far it's suited me well.
Well, that's all you can do. I want to dive quick because in the,
Yeah,
the the episode I mentioned your history is like a rap sheet. You
yeah,
have so many credits, and you're in your early 30s, and that
yeah,
is
sure, yeah.
a huge thing, producer, writer, all the different
Yeah,
things. Where
thank you.
where did this journey begin? And just kind of what what propels you to
I've
is it like a
I've been
keep
doing
busy kind of thing, or you just love this
Yeah,
so
I have
much?
to keep making. I do love it's both.
Okay.
It's both. I have to stay productive. I hate being stagnant. That's why, again, even last year, I made The Handler with over summer during the pandemic because I had to make something and I had to be creative. I've been doing this over 14 years now. Made my
Hmm.
first short film in January of '07. So over 14 years. I started at 19 and I just kind of built my way up and I just don't want to stop. It's as simple as that. I don't want to stop. So it's again, we'll see what happens, but I just want to keep making films. Simple as that. No end in sight. Hopefully. Knock on wood.
There's one question I want to ask, and I know this is
Sure.
loathed by a lot of actors, directors, and stuff. Actors,
No,
it's like,
you can
what would the
yeah.
one part you'd want to play? And I heard someone
Yeah,
talking about it, like all the old guards, like, well, I want to play LBJ. God, I know the letters. I know
yeah,
what this,
yeah.
I want to play Winston Churchill kind of thing.
Right.
I like to rephrase it in terms of so you've made a lot of films, you've worked on a lot of projects. Is there something yet you have not taken on in terms of like a theme or just an emotional or a type of character? Is there something you're still working to? You want to get there and get that done, not so much like an opus,
Uh,
but just like, oh, I
yeah.
really want this
I'd
flavor thing.
I'd love to delve more into the world of organized crime in films, Casino, Goodfellas type thing,
Hmm.
Irish, to tell an epic crime saga. Like I'm talking like a 3 hour saga, ensemble piece spread throughout 30 years. That's something that when budget permits, I would love to do. I
Okay.
would love to tell a story like that. That doesn't even need to be nonfiction. It can be a fictional story, but sprawled over from say 1975 to 2015, 2005, whatever it may be. An epic tour de force, just film like that, that is something I would want to do. I'd want to check that.
Well, I'd watch it. I
Oh,
love,
thank you.
I mean, we love all kinds of movies.
Right,
But yeah, that's one thing about Chase was I love the fact that you didn't apply it to a mafia, you didn't apply it to a crime
right.
family. It's
He's solo.
yeah, literally what I call street level, because
Yeah,
the neighborhood I grew up in, I was a street kid, so
yeah,
I know how
yeah.
this shit can go from tough to life,
Of
and
course.
um, but yeah, I love the fact that there's just like I said in the beginning, it's just these two guys, they're friends, they're dealing with their situation, and it evolves to it's still just them, and I loved that,
It
and
it's great.
Serge.
Oh, thank you, thank you. No, thank you. That's right. That's right. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm just with each film, I'm trying to step it up, trying to build and everything. So we will see what happens. You know,
Excellent.
we will see what happens.
So what do we got coming in the next
What,
few releases? What
yeah,
you are going to start working on, what you're going to wrap up, and everything. We're going to have links, all that stuff in the show
sure,
notes, but
sure.
do your thing.
Um, I have two features that are going to be released later this year. Shadows should be released later this year, and then The Handler that we're almost getting done with the full edit. We're already picture locked all that, just a little bit of music and post sound mixing. That'll be released later this
Okay.
year. And in October, actually a week ago, I was greenlit. I'm making this film, The Sweepers, which is another kind of action crime thriller we're going to be shooting in October of this year.
Okay.
So trying to stay as busy as I can, trying to prep for that and everything. But like I said, for your viewers, all that, if they want to check out Chase, feel free to. I'm still very proud of that film. So that's what we got going on now.
Sweet. Uh,
Yeah.
are you going to do any festivals with these, or are you just going to put them straight to the
Yeah, I mean,
services?
no, no, no. With the handler, I want to do festivals. With
Okay.
sweepers, I want to do festivals before distribution too. Absolutely. I just hope that they're in person at that time.
Right. Right.
You
Well,
know.
I got to say, just real quick.
Yes.
So like we watched the movie Fried Berry
Yeah.
because the director reached out to us, and
Yes.
but unfortunately, because of the way he had things set up, he couldn't do screeners. So
Okay.
I literally spent 3 weeks sitting here chasing virtual festivals, and
Really.
Jesus Christ, the website wouldn't work or the payment system
Oh,
wouldn't
there's
work,
a million
and
things. It's insane. It's insane.
and
It's
I
like nuts.
finally got it so we could see it, and we did all of our stuff we go from beginning to end, but that one, because
Yeah.
it hasn't been released yet, we did a spoiler free, we left the end off, and we
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah.
But I one thing that I noticed with that was,
Yeah.
and we talked to Ryan Kruger after, um, that he's he's been to film festivals where there's like a 500 seat theater, and that's
Yeah.
like, it feels awesome, man. This is my thing, and these
Of
people are
course.
seeing it. But
Of
then he
course.
found out there were 15,000 people signing up for these virtual festivals. And kind of going back to
Yeah.
what we were saying, that the masks will go away and stuff, I sincerely hope when things normalize, we don't forget this magnificent tool that we found in
And we
reaching
should.
out. And I mean, they brought films to people across the world who would never
Absolutely.
travel to Brazil, you know?
I
Uh,
think I think that we can have both. I think that we
oh,
should have
yes.
both. And no, I agree with you. So hopefully it will keep that. We'll keep that part of it. You know,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. But no, this again, this has been great. This has been awesome. Actually, shortly I'm having to go to a damn film prep meeting with my co-producer for the film and assistant director. So this never stops. I'm going to eat real quick and then I'm going to go there. But no, this was great though. This was great stuff.
All
Seriously.
right. Well, folks, we are going to let Mr. Rossi go because we're winding it down anyway. Thank you for
Of
reaching
course.
out.
Thank you.
Like I said, introducing us to it, because folks, it'll all be in the notes and with the episode. It's on Tubi, and we all know what a deep well that is. So thanks for guiding. Or no, that one wasn't Tubi. That was Amazon.
Amazon,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yes,
Oh
yeah.
my God. Anyway,
No, it's
so
okay.
we'll have everything that you need to see from this man, and from the episode that you absolutely need to see Chase, and then he would like you to see it, and we're telling you to see it, so go see it. Uh, Michael, thank you so much. I
Thank
very
you
much
so much.
appreciate it.
Please keep posted. Let's definitely be in touch. Okay.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, B-Siders. That was another excellent conversation with Michael Matteo Rossi, writer and director of Chase, which we covered last week, as you know. And uh, I, I, I can't say this enough. Look these people up. Michael's roster of films, like I had mentioned earlier, looks like a rap sheet. It's just phenomenal. Um, things he's either written, directed, done both, produced. It, this is a busy person, and this is a clear example of how you can motivate yourself. You know, get some things to work on things. He's one of those people, like you said, who needs to be working, and he, happens to love this business, so it kind of works, hand in hand, works out really well. Creatives, we have a love for what we do, no matter what aspect it is. If it's making the visual from the written word, if it's putting the written word down, find time for it, and just keep working, working, working. That's really all you can do. I have seen some conversations recently. In the interview we talked about Twitter. Um, occasionally I dive in, with some positive things if I see something. A good example, someone had asked, how do you find the time to write? Do you budget it? Do you do this and that? That's really a tough question to answer when and you don't know about this person. So, I just put out there, um, if you have a job with reliable hours, set hours, 8 to 5, whatever, it is a little easier to budget like 30 minutes of time during the week. This is my time. But the one thing we've talked about with, um, setting schedules is something always comes up. Life happens. Then what do? Your schedule's thrown off. And that can just dovetail into a whole bunch of stuff. So, the thing that we've talked about a lot is resolve yourself to writing when you have the time. And by that, I mean, if you find yourself sitting, you've been scrolling through Netflix for 5 minutes, looking for something to watch, put the remote down, get up, start writing, because you clearly have some free time because you're browsing and you're planning, on watching something. So spend that time writing, however long it is. Like, oh, I was only going to do this for 20 minutes. Spend the 20 minutes writing. That is probably the safest way to do it. But you have to have that commitment, that resolve to trigger yourself. Oh, I'm sitting here doing nothing. I know I actually have like nothing going on for the next hour. Go grab your laptop, sit at your desk, do whatever it is you do, how you do it, and get it done. So that would be the advice to, how do you find the time and how do you become so prolific? You know, push yourself to it. Push yourself to it. A lot of great things. Talking with Mr. Rossi here that we covered, and I hope you take them, all to heart. There's a lot of good in the struggle in this business, and if you decide, okay, these studios are not showing me love, we're not getting anywhere, so I'm going to go indie. Well, that's fine because that takes you out of that whole paradigm, with the studios, and we've gone over that. But I think you need to understand the struggle isn't less when you decide to go indie. If anything, it's going to be more, um, because you are doing it on your own, and the amount of help that you have is solely dependent on you networking and finding people to come in and help you. You find a DP, find a director, or say you're a director and you want something good, right? Well, you got to find a good writer, someone with a good story, if you're not going to write it and direct it yourself. Um, producing all this stuff from beginning to end as you go into this as an indie filmmaker. it's all on you. But, there's a sweetness at the end of it that when you do that final cut, you have the golden master and you're going to show it for the first time to friends, or, your crew, whatever. Um, this is the culmination of yours and everybody else's efforts to make this happen without the support of, a giant studio with hundreds of departments for every little thing and thousands of people on call. You're doing it. You did it actually. When you get to that point, you did it. So, um, you know, dive into what you want to do. And if it's indie, do it. Just understand it doesn't get easier, it gets harder. But in that, you're in control. You're not going to have somebody tell you, no, I don't want to cut that way. You're going to cut it the way you want. And, if you allow your people to have input or you have an editor, it's going to be more collaborative, right? You don't have someone sitting in a big chair with that gavel to come down and everything. So, hope you enjoyed the conversation. We've got some more coming down the pipe in the weeks to come. Hopefully, on our next episode, Danny will be back. Yeah. Um, and not relapsing. So, we can get things moving. Um, in the meantime, check out our website, www.lordsofmisrulproductions.com. Everything is there. We've said it before. We'll say it again. It's all there. All our podcast episodes, if you want to just listen from the site, there you go. All of our podcast platforms, including RSS feed, email link, to a feed. It's all there. Our social media links, and also a couple email links to reach out to us through the podcast or through a general info email if it's not quite related to the podcast. Happy to hear from you guys. Um, we love it actually. Michael caught our show, found our stuff, looked us up. Boom, here we are. We viewed a wonderful, wonderful film last episode, and we got to talk to him. And he's got stuff in the pipe. So, in a few months when these things start happening, we'll get to talk to him again. I love it. And, you can be on that list. We want to hear from you. We want to gain, from your journey, inspiration for every other creative out there. That's why we're doing this, and hopefully that's why you're listening, to find that little oomph. Hopefully it's working. Get a little oomph to keep going and doing what you're doing because it can be discouraging. So, with our social media links, please pay attention to who we're following and who's following us. These are fellow creatives, be they actors, directors, writers, producers, um, any aspect of it. Also, podcasters. Podcasters are creatives. They're creating content just like we are with this. And, give. I know it's hard. We follow so many, but I can't listen to all of them. Just don't have the time. But I do try to plug one in here, plug one in there, an episode from this one and that one because it's only fair. So, um, you know, check them out, give them some listens, give them some encouragement. You everyone's doing this because they this is part of what they love to do, and a little recognition never hurts. So, listen to those folks and just say hi, dig your podcast. That'll go a long way. In the meantime, keep writing, keep filming, keep composing, keep drawing, keep building, whatever it is that you do, keep at it. Um, we're not there yet. We're getting there. Hopefully, one day, soon, this will be a foul memory. Um, but until then, let's keep our chins up. Let's support one another. Let's take a little bit of Michael's game. And let's use our social media presences to just kind of spread words of encouragement and be positive. Ignore all the rest of the vitriol that's out there. Um, there's plenty of people on the planet to deal with that. So, with that, uh, keep your heads up. Keep doing what you're doing. Reach out to us if you like. We always get back, and we're always happy to have conversations, not even related to the podcast. So, keep it going, folks. Until next week, this is Jim flying solo, hopefully for the last time. And I will talk to you. Well, hopefully, we will be talking to you next episode.